An action potential is a nerve impulse that sends information through a neuron to a postsynaptic cell. It begins at the gradient potential and sends the action potential, fires through the axon where it sends the information through the synaptic terminals to the postsynaptic cell. It begins at the resting period where the transmembrane gradient is at -70 and there's an abundance of sodium on the outside of the cell and potassium on the inside of the cell. When a stimulus activates the action potential, it initiates depolarization, which is the process of the sodium channels opening and sodium begins to flow to the inside of the cell. This will continue to do this until it reaches maximum potential at 30. Then repolarization will happen, to which the sodium channels will close and potassium channels open, so the potassium will begin to flow to the outside of the cell. After repolarization happens, the sodium channels will close, the potassium channels will close and the potassium will continue to flow out until it's completely closed, to which a state of hyperpolarization will occur and there's an abundance of potassium on the outside. After hyperpolarization, the transmembrane potential needs to go back to resting potential. In order to do so, the sodium-potassium pump will open, where it will bring 2 potassium back into the inside of the cell for every 3 potassium it takes out of the cell. After this is all complete, the transmembrane potential will be back to normal potential and resting potential so that it could be ready to fire again. In summary, an action potential is stimulated at -70 where depolarization begins. When depolarization begins, the sodium channels open and the sodium moves into the cell. At +30, the sodium channels will close and potassium channels will open. This will start repolarization. After repolarization, the potassium channels will begin to close and hyperpolarization will happen. After hyperpolarization, the sodium-potassium pump is activated and the action potential is over and restored back to resting potential.